The recent ceasefire between India and Pakistan has brought a fragile peace, yet a new tension simmers. Turkey's unwavering support for Pakistan during the recent conflict has ignited outrage across India. This is not merely about diplomatic niceties, it strikes at the heart of India's security and sovereignty. Turkey's actions demand a strong response. The call for a boycott is not just a slogan, it is a necessary act of self-respect and a message that India will not tolerate such blatant disregard for its interests. The ceasefire, a flicker of hope after weeks of tension, is now overshadowed. Turkey's President Erdogan's vocal support for Pakistan during Operation Sindoor has inflamed the situation. This is not the first time Turkey has chosen Pakistan's side in the Kashmir issue. This time, however, feels different. The wounds of the Pahalgam attack are fresh. The memory of 26 innocent lives lost fuels the anger. The Indian public is clear. Turkey's support for Pakistan is unacceptable. There is a growing sense that India must respond decisively. The call to boycott Turkish goods and services is gaining momentum. This is not simply about economic pressure, it is about sending a message. India will not be a silent spectator to actions that embolden those who seek to harm it. The situation is complex, with international implications. However, one thing is clear. Turkey's actions have consequences. India will not be bullied. It will not compromise on its security. The #Boycott Turkey movement is a testament to this resolve. It is a call for unity and a reminder that India will stand up for its interests, no matter the cost. The recent conflict, culminating in Operation Sindoor, was not a theoretical exercise in military might. It was a direct response to the horrific terror attack in Pahalgam. 26 lives were brutally cut short, leaving a scar on India's soul. The pain of this loss is still raw, the images still seared into our collective memory. And it is against this backdrop of grief and anger that Turkey chose to stand with Pakistan. Turkey's support for Pakistan is not new. However, in the wake of the Pahalgam tragedy, it takes on a sinister tone. To many Indians, Turkey's actions feel like a betrayal. The message is clear. Even as India mourns, even as it seeks justice for its citizens, Turkey stands with those who perpetuate this violence. This perceived betrayal cuts deep. It feeds into a larger narrative of India being unfairly targeted and isolated on the world stage. The Turkish government's pronouncements, seen as condoning violence, only deepen this sense of injustice. The public outcry in India is not just about geopolitics. It is about empathy, about standing with the victims, about demanding accountability. The boycott movement is in many ways a visceral reaction to this perceived injustice. It is an attempt to reclaim agency, to make it clear that India will not be a passive bystander to its own suffering. The message is clear. Turkey's support for those who sponsor terror will have consequences. India will not be silenced, it will not forget, it will stand with its people. Turkey's support for Pakistan extends beyond mere rhetoric. It is deeply entrenched in the military sphere, with Turkey supplying Pakistan with sophisticated weaponry, including armed drones. These drones, potent symbols of modern warfare, have reportedly been used in attacks against Indian interests, further fueling the flames of anger and distrust. The presence of Turkish-made drones in Pakistan's arsenal is a cause for serious concern for India. These drones, with their ability to strike with precision and relative impunity, represent a significant escalation in the region's arms race. India's security apparatus is now forced to factor in this new threat, diverting resources and manpower to counter it. Beyond the tangible military aid, Turkey's vocal support for Pakistan in international forums is equally damaging. Turkey's President Erdogan has repeatedly used platforms like the United Nations to criticize India's stance on Kashmir, echoing Pakistan's propaganda and undermining India's efforts to build international consensus on the issue of cross-border terrorism. This two-pronged approach, arming Pakistan while simultaneously providing it with diplomatic cover, has not gone unnoticed in India. It is seen as a deliberate attempt to undermine India's security and isolate it on the world stage. This perception is further compounded by Turkey's growing closeness with China, another country with which India has ongoing territorial disputes. Turkey's unwavering support for Pakistan has direct and dangerous implications for India's security. The supply of advanced weaponry, coupled with inflammatory rhetoric, emboldens Pakistan and undermines India's efforts to maintain peace and stability in the region. The recent conflict, Operation Sindoor, served as a stark reminder of the volatility of the situation. The presence of Turkish-made drones in Pakistan's arsenal adds a new layer of complexity and danger. India is now forced to operate in an environment where the threat of drone strikes is a constant reality. This has led to a significant increase in India's defense spending. Resources that could have been used for development and social welfare are now being diverted to counter the growing military threat from Pakistan, fueled in part by Turkish support. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Turkey is a NATO member. This alliance, meant to be a bulwark against aggression, is now seen by many in India as indirectly enabling Pakistan's actions. Turkey's continued membership in NATO while actively undermining the security of a key democratic partner like India raises serious questions about the alliance's commitment to global security and stability. Section 5 Wallets as weapons. The boycott movement gains momentum. In the absence of a strong international response, the people of India have taken it upon themselves to send a message to Turkey. The #Boycott Turkey movement, fueled by social media and a deep sense of anger and betrayal, is rapidly gaining momentum. This boycott, targeting Turkish goods and services, is a way for ordinary Indians to voice their displeasure and exert pressure on the Turkish government. From everyday household items to luxury goods, the range of products facing a boycott is vast. People are actively choosing Indian brands and alternatives, even if it means paying a premium. This willingness to make personal sacrifices underscores the depth of feeling on this issue. The boycott movement is not just limited to consumer goods. Travel agencies have reported a sharp decline in bookings to Turkey. Students are reconsidering educational opportunities in the country. Even Bollywood, known for its elaborate song and dance sequences shot in exotic locations, is facing calls to cease filming in Turkey. This boycott is more than just an expression of anger. It is a strategic move to hit Turkey where it hurts: its economy. By targeting sectors like tourism and exports, the boycott aims to make a tangible impact on Turkish businesses that benefit from the Indian market. Section 6. Academia and airports institutions take a stand. The #Boycott Turkey movement is not just a grassroots phenomenon. It is finding resonance in India's institutions as well. Prominent educational institutions, including the esteemed Jamia Millia Islamia University, have suspended academic collaborations with Turkish counterparts. This decision, while difficult, reflects a growing sentiment that engaging with Turkish institutions is untenable in the current climate. The Indian government too has taken concrete steps to demonstrate its displeasure. In a significant move, the security clearance of Celebi Aviation, a Turkish firm operating at several Indian airports, has been revoked. This decision, with its potential to disrupt airport operations, underscores the seriousness with which India views Turkey's actions. These actions send a clear message. India will not separate business from politics when it comes to its core national security interests. By targeting Turkish entities operating in India, the government is signaling its willingness to leverage economic and diplomatic levers to exert pressure on Turkey. The decision to revoke Celebi Aviation's security clearance is particularly noteworthy. It demonstrates that India is willing to incur short-term costs, such as potential disruptions at airports, to uphold its long-term strategic interests. This sends a powerful message to Turkey and other nations that India will not hesitate to take decisive action, even if it means facing economic consequences. Section 7. A House Divided. The global response to #Boycott Turkey. The #Boycott Turkey movement has thrust India's dispute with Turkey onto the global stage. However, the international response has been mixed, highlighting the complexities of navigating this geopolitical quagmire. While the United States, the United Kingdom, and the European Union have all welcomed the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, their response to the #Boycott Turkey movement has been more muted. There have been calls for dialogue and de-escalation, but no concrete condemnation of Turkey's actions. This cautious approach is perhaps unsurprising. Turkey, despite its recent foreign policy choices, remains a key NATO member and a strategically important player in the Middle East. Western powers are wary of alienating Turkey, fearing it could push it further into the arms of Russia or China. This reluctance to take sides has frustrated many in India who believe that the international community is not doing enough to hold Turkey accountable for its actions. There is a growing sense that India is being held to a different standard, expected to exercise restraint while its security concerns are seemingly ignored. Section 8. The price of solidarity, economic and political fallout. The #boycott Turkey movement, while driven by genuine public sentiment, is not without its potential drawbacks. Turkey is a significant trading partner for India, and the boycott could have economic repercussions for both countries. Turkish businesses operating in India, from textiles to tourism, are already feeling the heat. Indian businesses with investments in Turkey are also facing uncertainty. The boycott, if sustained, could disrupt supply chains and impact bilateral trade. Beyond the immediate economic impact, the boycott also has the potential to further strain diplomatic relations between India and Turkey. The Turkish government has already expressed its displeasure over the boycott, calling it unfortunate and misguided. This diplomatic standoff comes at a time when India is seeking to strengthen its ties with the Muslim world. Turkey, with its historical and cultural ties to many Muslim-majority countries, could potentially play a spoiler role in India's efforts to build bridges. The Indian government now faces the difficult task of balancing its commitment to national security with the need to maintain economic stability and pursue its foreign policy objectives. The #boycott Turkey movement, while understandable in its anger, has added a new layer of complexity to an already challenging situation. Section 9. Unity in the face of adversity. A call for national resolve. The #boycott Turkey movement is a testament to the deep sense of patriotism and national unity that courses through India. It is a spontaneous outpouring of anger and frustration, a refusal to be bullied on the world stage. However, it is important to remember that boycotts are a means to an end, not an end in themselves. The ultimate goal is to ensure India's security and protect its interests. This will require a multi-pronged approach that goes beyond symbolism. The Indian government must continue to engage in robust diplomacy, building alliances with like-minded nations and calling out double standards in the international community. It must also strengthen its military capabilities to deter future aggression and protect its borders. At the same time, it is crucial to maintain a sense of perspective and avoid actions that could further escalate tensions or harm India's long-term interests. The #boycott Turkey movement should serve as a wake-up call, a reminder that India will not be taken for granted. The path forward requires strength, resolve, and a commitment to dialogue. India must stand firm in its principles, protect its people, and work towards a future where peace and security prevail.